Hello, and welcome everyone to Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. My name is Angelica Zadak, and today we have a very special guest, Phyllis Cambria. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, Angelica. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, and I love the floral background that makes it look like a beautiful day inside.
Oh, yes. It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of reds and blues and greens. It's like spring.
It is. It's always like spring. That's why I live in Florida and not back in New York, where it's cold and gray.
Yeah, we're lucky. No snow, no heavy jackets.
Nope. And you don't have to shovel sunshine. Ever.
No, never. I never thought of it that way. Thank you for the perspective. So Phyllis, tell us a little bit about yourself. There's so much to tell. I'm really excited about today's interview because you were one of the first actresses that I knew. My mom introduced me to you and she's like, Phyllis is an actress and she's a writer. You have to see her. And so I'm really excited about today.
Well, that's very nice. Yes, it's been a long time. I have known you your entire life. Before you were born, your mom was pregnant with you, I think. It was you and not your sister. My first acting experience was in the fourth grade Christmas pageant. And my next acting experience, I was in my 30s.
Wow.
There was sort of a gap in there.
Uh-huh.
No, that's actually not true. Because I did all the school plays and musicals and stuff. But that was something that was kind of my dream. And my parents indulged me in the sense that it's like, yes, and that's a very nice dream. So what are you going to actually do for a living?
Oh.
It was kind of odd. I was watching a telethon for the local PBS station, and it was probably 2:00 in the morning, and there was an acting school in Hollywood that had donated 6 singing, 6 dancing, and 6 acting lessons, and I bid on it for $25, which was a ridiculously low bid. But I won because I guess nobody else bid on it.
Oh, wow.
And so that's actually how I took my first acting lessons, was at this studio. I didn't take the dancing lessons because there was like no way I was going to suddenly become a dancer. And we both agreed that while I would never be a singer, he could at least make me sound better. And, I could work that into acting. And then after that, just started taking classes everywhere and anywhere. I signed up with a couple of agents and a manager, and I've done some film work and TV work, not the least of which was the Radical Feminist Lesbian Lover, when they did a season of Divorce Court with actors. I auditioned for the lawyer and became the lover of the woman trying to get a divorce. It was
wow.
It's a frightening experience.
Lots of drama, yeah.
All the drama. I did do a lot of extra work, and that sounds like big deal, but I did extra work with Angela Lansbury and Betty Davis and Christopher Plummer, and you're seeing actual actors act. And what they do on the set, and you learn so that if you were to get a part, you would actually be able to figure out what was going on, improv, of course. Then if you're studying how to act on video, how to act on film, how to act on stage, whatever, improv's going to eventually come up, and it did. So I was thrilled when to get back into that when you had started This is Improv. So those were always fun.
We were so happy to have you. Some of your characters were so much fun. I remember specifically we were at an open mic one night and you had your leather jacket on and you came on with this character for Panel of Experts. And I know the audience loved it. All the characters in line could play off of it. And it was just you took up the whole space, and it was lovely. It was wonderful.
Improv actually made me fearless on stage.
Oh, wow.
It's made me fearless in a lot of situations, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Either you get a laugh, you don't get a laugh, and you walk off and, the sun rises the next day, and,
there are flowers in your background.
It's like, oh, yeah, it made auditioning for other parts even easier, because it's like, okay, well, I'll go in and play this, and then I'll go have lunch. I just get out of your own head, and that's the fun of improv.
That's cool to hear.
Yeah.
And I want to take it back. So you talked about your first experience on stage.
Right.
And your first experience on stage was in the 4th grade. So I'm curious.
My master is the Prince of India. The other 2 are Oriental nobles. Their wisdom is great and infallible. They do not make mistakes. Don't ask me why I remember that, but that was my line.
No way.
Yes, I came with the wise men. Because I went to Catholic school, so of course it was a Christmas pageant, and I was one of the harem girl slave people. I don't know, but I came along with the 3 wise men, and that was my line.
You're an inspiration to all those Catholic school kids who are like, oh, another pageant. Yeah, they're going to cast me. Okay, no one's going to. But that started everything for you.
It did.
It stuck.
It did. It's like showbiz, It's showtime. Let's jazz hands and I know. My parents, while never actually being actors or performers, my mother taught herself how to tap dance, and she passed away. But she insisted we bury her with her tap shoes, because she wanted to be able to dance with Eleanor Powell when she got to heaven. And my father, when he was in his 80s, he's 97 now, and if it wasn't for COVID, he'd still be doing it, belonged to several senior performing groups. So he goes out there and he's got the ladies screaming for him, and it's so, yeah, I am my parents' daughter in that sense.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. It's the showbiz is in my blood. I don't, obviously not fame and fortune, but showbiz.
What did they do for a living?
My father was a sanitation worker for the city of New York. We used to make a joke that your garbage is my bread and butter. And my mom was a housewife, but before that she had worked in a dress factory. She was an incredible designer, and she would take standard dress patterns and just redo them and come up with these magnificent outfits. So yeah, it it wasn't until they retired. But my parents would have, when we moved to Long Island, there was a group of neighbors. They were all young and fun. Mm-hmm. And they would have these crazy costume parties with themes and stuff. I had wrote a murder mystery for them, and they all came in character. There was, I don't know what the other reason was why all the women were dressed as French maids. But my father came out and as a Ziegfeld Follies girl, with the fans. Uh-huh. The man had a mustache at the time, which was even funnier. He had the best legs you've ever seen on anybody.
Nice.
And it turned out that a woman who was in charge of the Ziegfeld Folly girls, there had been like an organization of them. Uh-huh. They did an event every year. Uh-huh. The entertainment was Sammy Davis Jr., and they were honoring Barbra Streisand. And my father got on stage in this outfit with the fans and did this fan dance, and then he dropped the fans, and then they saw it was a guy, and my parents wondered why I was drawn to
So interesting. Who would have thought? Who would have ever thought? Yeah. So you had that gap. You stopped for a little bit. You were doing school productions. And were the classes your first taste back in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my classes were. You know how it is. You're going to school and you're trying to get a job, and I was falling in love and getting married, and then life sort of takes over, and we had left New York and moved to Florida, and we never had children, so I really didn't have other things to occupy my time, and my husband always knew that there was that Showtime folks in me. So he was like, yeah, go do it. Go have fun. Made every mistake that everybody makes, when you're starting out, and bad headshots and bad auditions to go on. And you do all kinds of crazy side jobs because, you got to be available for auditions when they call you.
Right.
So I've had more than my share of strange side jobs. Mostly doing kind of temp things when I was in between, like having a real job, a 9-to-5er, and I'd have a boss who wasn't understanding about, listen, I need to leave for 2 hours to go on this audition. But actually, I had several bosses who were like, yeah, go ahead, go have fun. They'd let me go out on auditions. But I got hired as a thief for a department store.
Really?
Yeah. Because I'm got that kind of the face of somebody who's gonna mostly go out and steal stuff. But I would overtly steal things, like pick up a suitcase and walk out the door, or put on a coat and walk out the door, or do something. They mostly wanted to see if their security guards were actually paying attention, and so then eventually, security would run after me, and then followed by management would go, no, it's okay. It was just a test. This is only a test. Do not have her arrested. So those, an elevator operator in a self-service elevator, but that didn't stop on the second floor unless you were in the elevator. It was a home furnishings, home goods kind of a place. It was 3 stories, actually 2 stories and a basement. And we didn't sell clothes, we didn't sell food, we didn't, but I got bored after, spending 8 hours on an elevator going up and down the same 3 floors. So I would say, when we get to the 3rd floors, look for ladies' lingerie, look for hunting rifles. Don't forget, check out that big bunny in the back room, and just do all these things. And then the people would get back on the elevator and they go, there's no hunting, there's no ladies' lingerie. Why are you still on the elevator? But
to make your life interesting.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're going to be with me for 6 seconds. I'm going to perform,
The mall probably loved you too, because they're trying to seek out this thing, and during all that time they have all this extra time where they're shopping. So yeah, you're making them look hard at the items.
I am.
Yeah. Acting is good for so many things. For sales, for stealing, but not really stealing, security. We'll call it security.
Yes.
And so you helped so many people.
I did. One of them was, it was cold. It was very cold. And I walked outside without a jacket on or anything. And if nothing else, I thought that looked suspicious. And, I walked in shorts, and which should have seemed strange. So I went and put on a coat and then walked outside with it. And I figured that somebody should notice that. And that one actually took them a few minutes, and I'm standing outside in the parking lot waiting for them to finally catch up with me.
Wow. I'm just sitting there. Catch me. Hello. I'm right here.
I should have picked a more expensive coat. Anyway. But yeah, I was a very obvious thief. I wasn't even being surreptitious about it, but
yeah, you gave them
very cloak and dagger.
Yeah. So what was one of your favorite acting experiences?
My favorite always was stage work.
Okay.
The immediacy of having the energy from the audience and doing it live.
Yeah.
And the things that go right, the things that go wrong, just the experience of it. I belong to a black box theater called Actors Conservatory Theater. It was 50 seats, black. It was in an office building. I mean, it was just bare floor. People sat in chairs. You know, they were on a rise. We were on level. And minimal sets. You know, it might be a chair or a bench or something, but it is that kind of thing. And it was just acting at its purest. Yeah. And you know, it's not like when you're on a real stage with the lights and everything, you can't actually see people. You sort of know they're there, but you can't see them. Well, right. This is, you know, they're there. They're 5 feet from you. And so it's there was one thing I had done, and the audience was caught up in it. It was a very dark place. It was about people that were that had the sleeping sickness. De Niro had done it with Robin Williams in a movie called Awakenings, but it was very difficult. And I'm in this bed and I'm having this convulsion, and I see this guy jump up out of a seat and he's running towards me. And finally they grabbed, because he thought something was indeed going on, you know, something was going wrong, and they sort of had to tackle him.
Poor guy.
They would be like, well, this, you know, yeah. No, I'm fine. Sit down. It's okay. I'm fine. I'll go back. You know, and you can't
be a hero. Yeah.
I can, you know, I can't break character, but I'm seeing somebody running towards me, and it's like, okay, this is bad. But
you were just acting so well.
Yeah, it was like, you know, because you're also in that mindset, especially when you have to go someplace really dark.
Yeah.
And it's sort of jolting, you know. And it's like, anyway. But yes, live theater is always the most fun. You know.
Yeah. Especially when someone tries to save your life in the middle, because we're doing such a great job.
Yes. My father, on the other hand, after the show was over, and there was no real backstage. It was, you know, we came in basically in our wardrobe. But my father, when we walked out, my father looked at me and he said, "Very good. Don't you ever do that show again." You know, because it killed him watching me rip my guts out, you know?
Yeah.
But being an actress is kind of a strange way to even have that in the back of your mind. There you find yourself doing things and saying, remember this. You may need this sometime, you know? And it's when my husband passed away, and there was a part that went off in my head and said, "Oh, this will be a good sense memory," and you're like going, "Stop!" You know, I don't want to remember this feeling. You know, I don't want to remember that. But there's, you know, your brain starts saying, "Ooh, you know, remember this experience of breaking your leg. Remember that." You know, I don't want to remember those. I'll find something other dark to do, but
yeah, it's just instinct at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're just you're just all right. There are certain things I prefer not to remember. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Goodbye. Let's move on.
Yes. Let's go someplace else.
And talking about those techniques are so important for new actors and for even experienced actors looking for different ways to get into character. And you talked about how improv had helped you go into that air of confidence. Are there any, it doesn't have to be improv, but are there any acting techniques? Are there any improv techniques? Are there any any exercises that you do that help you get into the zone to do what you do?
One of the things I think that scares people about improv is that, they're afraid they're not going to be smart or clever or, funny or whatever. They watch Whose Line Is It Anyway and go, I can't do that. And the thing about improv is you actually do it every day. You and I are having an improvised conversation. Absolutely. I don't know what you're going to say. You don't know what I'm going to say. The great thing about improv is all you have to do is concentrate and respond. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be smart. You may be throwing it to the next person and they're the one who has the joke. You got to remember, it's like the comedy teams, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy. There's always a straight person. Sometimes you may be the straight person, and that's okay because you need the straight person to make the funny person funny. Absolutely. So if you just get out of your own head and just say, be in the moment and listen and respond, that's all you have to do. Sometimes something funny is going to come up. Sometimes not so much. But sometimes you may give somebody an opening line. I think I had mentioned to you at my husband's memorial service, I had no desire to get up to talk. I thought there was no reason, and people were getting up and sharing interesting things about him. But one of our dear friends that we've known for more than 40 years had gotten up and said something, and as an aside, as he was walking back to his seat, said, and they all talked about my husband's sense of humor, which was very dry, but hysterical. Mm-hmm. As he walked past, he said, and Doug was 2 years younger than me, and I resented that. When they said, does anybody else want to speak? I jumped up, I had no idea what I was going to say or what I said. As it was, they were live streaming it and recording it, so I actually saw it later. But I could almost see myself, because I got up and the first thing besides thanking everybody for coming, was I made a joke about something that I resented about my husband in a funny way. And I could see myself almost going, this is not stand up, bring it back. And it's kind of a weird thing watching yourself do something, right? Commenting on it, because we don't normally do that. We don't normally comment on our own reactions, but acting is the same thing. Be truthful, be honest, be there. Listen. Don't think about your next thing. You should know your lines so well that you don't have to think about them, that they're organic. And listen and respond truthfully. Just be truthful. That's about the best thing I can tell you about being an actor is, and if you're going out on an audition, you know what? Say to yourself for the next 5 minutes, whatever the audition is, this part's mine, and have fun with it, It may not, somebody else may get it. It's not that it's not that they rejected you. They just hired somebody else. That's life, Go out and enjoy yourself, get something to eat, talk to a friend, go look at another play, book another class. But it's not life and death.
I love that. That's so powerful. And it's hard. It's harder. It's easier said than done. And it's harder to experience because you do put yourself out there, and to speak to your truth and to see how it affected you in a real situation, just being able to be in the moment and be real. That's incredible. That's an incredible thing to say. That's really powerful. Thanks, Phyllis.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yes, I wish with age comes wisdom. I'm very wise.
You are.
Yeah, because I am at that age. But I tell you, if this ever stops, yeah, I would. I miss performing. I miss getting into character. I miss studying somebody and becoming them. I'm bored with me. I want to become somebody else.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take more classes and do more things.
Yeah, and I think that your advice is so wonderful, and I've been lucky enough to have your advice through a majority of my life, and especially when I started to perform, and my sister as well, and helping us even navigate some of the things, bring the acting experience to improv, because they're different.
Yes,
but
they are.
They require acting for the stage, but it's intrinsically different. And you brought that perspective, which brought it to another level. So thank you. And I think
thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Hey, listen. When I say thank you, you say you're welcome. That's it. That's the end of your scene, Missy.
I understand. You're
Fine.
welcome. Fine.
Good.
Right. So
Snapper.
Time to break character, Phyllis.
I love watching you on stage, because off stage, off camera, you are completely different. You're much more introspective and quiet and everything. And you get on stage and it's like, boom, it's like lights suddenly come on. And it's your sister is more like that all the time.
Yeah. You,
on the other hand, let's go. And it's like, whoosh, it just springs out of you. And it's like, and that's unfortunate, because sometimes I'll be on stage with you like going, oh shoot, I gotta, stop watching her, be part with her,
Oh, thank you for saying that. But it's exactly what you said. And I feel like so many people feel that way. There's just something magical about the stage and being in front of people and having that live reaction with people. And we found different ways to do that. There's the Facebook Live performances that are happening, where you can have those emotes and reactions. A lot of people are doing these Zoom calls and Zoom parties, but the stage, there's just something magical about the stage.
Yeah, you can hear them breathing, feeling. There's an energy off of them that you just can't get from without breaking the fourth wall. It's just people who need people, and actors need people.
Yeah, we do. We need the audience. Audience, we need you.
Audience, absolutely. It's acting to a camera, while fun, it's not the same thing. You're looking at that, and you got to do it 87 times, because the lighting is off and the camera, and that just doesn't happen on stage. It's like whatever happens, and you roll with it, which is also that's also helpful to have an improv background then, because it's like, okay,
let's try this differently.
Let's punt. Okay.
Bringing it to sports. Thanks, Phyllis.
Everything comes down to sports eventually.
Before I turn it to figure out something about you, I want to know, do you have anything that you are doing now while we're all separated that you want to tell people about?
I am trying to do a blog, and I haven't been able to get past the first page. So while I write well, I just can't figure out how to get it. So I'm going to need to find a 5-year-old to explain the blog world. But I have been noticing, as you said, there are acting classes, virtual acting classes and stuff. And I may, I'm going to start looking into those a little bit more. I've been hesitant to do it, but there's been a lot going on in the world. So, but I think now would be a good time to at least put my toes in the water and see how that works out. And why not?
That sounds cool. And you have a book, right, Phyllis?
I have several, except, see, I was an event planner. I planned parties and events, and speaking of, and that's how I met your mom.
Yes, it was.
Yes, in one of her many ventures. That's how I came. That's how I met Amy. So yes, most of my books are out of print. They were all to do with event planning rather than with acting. It was if you're familiar with the dummy books, ours were the idiot guides, the complete idiot guide to throwing a great party, the pocket idiot guide to choosing your caterer, those kinds of things. I wrote books for cookbooks, which is kind of funny. Because I can't follow a recipe. You can make cookbooks for people like Hormel and things. I was their spokesperson for a couple of big companies doing satellite video tours, and commercials and stuff. It's like, let's show you how to celebrate the 4th of July. Here we have, lifestyle expert Phyllis Cambria. And improv helped in those things too, because I never knew what I was going to say or what the reporter was going to ask me.
Yeah, you went with it. You rolled with it. You came out like a professional. Yeah.
Pretend you actually know what you're doing,
and then everyone will believe you if you're good. Yeah.
You say it. If you say it with enough authority, people will believe you. I mean, it happens with politicians all the time.
Exactly. All the time.
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 Huh. Is that like time after time?
Time after time.
I can see singing is your strong ability too. Okay.
Absolutely. Grammy.
Hey, I love you, kiddo.
Love you too. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, this was fun.
Before I leave you though,
I'm so glad we had this time together.
Before we say goodbye, I want to ask, is there something about yourself that no one knows about? We've learned so much about you today, and I've had a joy learning about your family too, and what they did that might have maybe sparked something in you maybe. And so is there anything about you that you haven't talked about that you can't tell about yourself looking at you?
I used to write erotica.
Really?
Really?
What?
Really, honestly and truly, yes.
Wow.
Yes. It started with a bet, and I gotta take a bet. And yeah, I did, and then submitted it, and it got published, and then they not under my name, and no, I have no idea what, and no intention of saying what name it went out on.
Okay.
But yes, they got it. The publishers got in touch and were like, "You're great. Can you do more?" And I did, and I made money doing it. But it was a mindset that was difficult for me to stay in that.
Right.
It wasn't bodice ripping, those kinds of romance novels. No, it was
erotica.
It was erotica. It was, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a series out there, a secret series of erotica.
Written by somebody who looks like me but doesn't have the same name. Yes.
Absolutely not the same name. So challenge to viewers, if you want to go through millions of erotic books.
No, I think there's enough porn out in the world. It really do. We didn't need me doing it too. There's better ways of spending my time than yes. And then when you start to think about how porn is used
Yeah.
You start skeeving yourself, and it's like.
Thank you for leaving us with that, Phyllis.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
Who asked?
I did.
See, that's improv.
Yeah,
I just remembered that. And it's like, yeah, I haven't mentioned that ever. Okay.
Thank you for sharing here. Bye, Phyllis. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us on Talk About It Tuesday with This is Improv. This has been Phyllis Cambria. Please make sure to look her up. Check out her blog, which is going to be incredible, amazing, informative. And she's absolutely informative as well. She has all this advice to tell. Phyllis, if anyone wanted to reach out to you for acting advice, would you be up for it?
Yeah, I mean, I can just give you what my experiences and observations have been. But you know, I'm happy to share. Just get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook, so get in touch, and it'll be be happy to talk to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Phyllis. And while you're here as well, everyone, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you get to hear amazing talks like this on Tuesdays with people just like Phyllis who have all this wonderful information to spread. Thank you again so much, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.